Does your sciatica pain prevent you from sleeping more than 20 minutes because you can't find a comfortable spot? Or is your pain preventing you from walking more than 10 feet before that pain becomes overwhelming? Well, I just recently had some sciatica pain, and that's exactly what happened to me. Being a massage therapist, I do have a strong background with how the body works and had great success in the past helping others relieve their sciatica pain. But using self-massage techniques and stretching just wasn't enough, which is why I went through the best strategies I can find on YouTube for relieving sciatica pain and combined them with my own self-massage techniques to give me a plan that helped me get a good night's sleep in less than a week and back in the gym in only 3. And that's why in today's video, I'm going to be showing you how to relieve your sciatica pain using some old school remedies. I'm just kidding. I'll be breaking down the strategy I used to relieve my sciatica pain, what I did, and why I did it. Let's jump into it. Adam here from trainingmassage.com. Now, I developed my sciatica pain most likely from overdoing my new hobby, which is disc golf. But don't tell my wife. I'll never hear the end of it. My theory is that I over-rotated either in the lower back or in the hips, which then created a pinch on the nerves and then started my sciatica pain. I consider I've never even purchased a Band-Aid for my own cuts. I continued to play throughout the pain. I never said I was any good. That is until the next morning when I tried to get my morning stretch in and my nightmare began. I immediately felt pain in my glutes going all the way down into my hamstrings, regardless of what kind of position I found myself in. So I had to desperately crawl into my own home office to do what I know best, which is self-massage techniques on myself. The idea of my self-massage techniques was to release all the muscles that surrounded that nerve in the first place. And the first one we're going to work on was the quadratus lumborum, also known as the QL. Now, even though I wasn't having too much pain in the lower back, I do know that I was over-rotating most likely, which developed my sciatica. And if that is the case, it may have came from the lower back, the lumbar spine, which is where the QL is located, and also the sciatic nerve exits the body, exits the spine. Whatever. So I decided to grab my lacrosse ball and lean into the wall to begin to work on the muscle for roughly 2 minutes. I then grabbed my massage cane and hit it from a different angle for another minute for a total of 3 minutes. I also hit both sides. I didn't just work one side here. Now the next muscle is the piriformis, which is located beneath the glute muscle. Now this muscle actually runs right next to the sciatic nerve, which means when it gets tight, it can actually compress on that sciatic nerve, creating your pain. Now, to self-massage this muscle, I recommend using a foam roller and sitting on that gluteal area in order to begin working on the muscles around the nerve. Your goal here is not to sit on the nerve itself, but to try to work and relax the muscles around it. Make sure to work on this muscle for roughly 2 minutes each side. Now, a quick note, I did recently see a video from Athlete X talking about not doing this because it's going to irritate the nerve. But in his video, he is constantly targeting the sciatic nerve on purpose, which is something you shouldn't be doing regardless. That's like saying if you want to fix a cut, you go and poke the cut in order to fix it. No, you put a Band-Aid on that, and when it comes to the sciatic nerve here, you have to self-massage the muscles around it. I love his work and I love his content, but he definitely missed the mark here, especially because there are several studies that show self-massaging the muscles around the sciatic nerve, like the piriformis, can help relieve that pain. Now, another muscle you're going to want to self-massage is the hamstring group. Now, I personally prefer to sit on a bench with a smaller ball under the hamstring in order to self-massage it. But that is also because I am used to the pressure and the pain. And if you're not in this case, then I recommend using a foam roller on the floor and just gently rolling out the muscle. Because this is a bigger muscle, whichever way you want to work it, try to work it for at least 3 to 4 minutes. Now, the next muscle you're going to want to self-massage is the calf muscle. And in order to do this, you can use either a smaller ball or you can use a foam roller. Once again, depending on your pain tolerance level, basically. Regardless of whichever tool you want to use, your goal is to slowly roll out the entire calf for 2 minutes and then bend the knee and work the deeper muscle, the soleus, for an additional minute. By bending that knee, you're able to put the gastrocs, the outside calf muscle, on a slack, which then gives you easier access to release the soleus, which is the deeper calf muscle. Before we move on to the next part of the strategy, there is one more muscle I highly recommend you self-massage, and that is the bottom of the foot. Even though this isn't a big player when it comes to sciatica pain, releasing the bottom of the foot, including that fascia, will help release the tension in the calves, the hamstrings, and more. And since sciatica pain sucks when you have tight hamstrings, this should help you out a little more. Make sure to self-massage the bottom of the foot for 1 to 2 minutes. Now, on top of self-massaging these tighter muscles, I also wanted to stretch them out. And even though I know several stretches for these different muscles, I also know that there are special stretches you can probably do for sciatica pain specifically, which is why I jumped onto YouTube to look for some stretches. And I was able to find a nice stretch from Dr. Joe from the YouTube channel Ask Dr. Joe. What this stretch entailed was basically a hamstring and QL stretch combo, which is why I love it. Now, in order to stretch this muscle, all you have to do is sit on the floor with the hamstring you want to stretch extended and the other leg bent in. Now, from here, you're gonna take your opposite arm and reach over your head and then reach for that foot in order to not only stretch that hamstring, but also that opposite side quadratus lumborum. Now, of course, we are stretching opposite side muscles here, so if you need to stretch everything only on one side, then you have to repeat this on the other side. Hold each stretch for roughly 30 to 60 seconds. Now, the next muscle we're going to be stretching is the PIRIFORMIS, and we're going to be doing this by performing a figure 4 stretch by laying on our backs. What we want to do is take the painful side, that foot, and place it on the opposite knee. Now, from here, you're going to wrap your hands behind that thigh of your opposite knee and pull it in you to create leverage in order to stretch that PIRIFORMIS on the other side. Now, another stretch you can do here is actually a pigeon pose by leaning over your bent knee in order to stretch that same side PIRIFORMIS. This stretch is demonstrated by several YouTubers as well, like Jeff Cavalier from AthleanX and Bob and Brad, the two oldest, most famous doctors on the internet. Whichever technique you want to do, make sure to stretch that muscle out for roughly 30 to 60 seconds. And the next muscle we're stretching is the calf muscle, and I personally prefer to stretch this muscle while being down on my hands. I do know there are easier stretches for this muscle, but when you stretch the muscle out on your hands and without shoes, then you're not only able to stretch that calf out, you're also able to stretch out the muscles and the fascia within the toes and the foot as well. On top of that, you can also bend the knee of the calf you're stretching in order to target the soleus more than the gastrocs. Whichever one you want to do, one more time, stretch it out for 30 to 60 seconds. Now, even though I was doing this routine several times a day, and even though it was helping me for a few hours, I still wasn't able to get through the night without dealing with my pain, which is why I went back online to look for other techniques. Now, one of the main techniques I learned here actually came from the YouTube channel Tone and Titan, where they showed you how to do what's called nerve flossing, which is something I did know about, but I didn't know all these different techniques. So I gave it a shot with the recommendation he gave, and to be honest, I didn't feel that much. But then I remembered a lot of these doctors also mentioning the fact that this nerve is getting compressed by the tighter muscles.
It will compress this nerve.
Now, if this muscle tightens up, it pinches that sciatic nerve.
Somewhere in the course of that nerve, it's getting pinched or irritated or stuck.
So if that is the case and I was able to release these muscles earlier, then my theory is if I do this nerve flossing after the self-massage and stretching, then I should get better results. So I went back through the entire sequence of self-massaging these muscles, stretching them out, and then doing these nerve floss techniques. And boy, let me tell you, the results were night and day. With this little combo, I was able to get a good night's sleep after a week of continuous pain. But there's actually another thing I began doing after week 1 in order to help keep my pain from returning. You see, I have a theory that the muscles that are constricting on the nerve, like the PIRIFORMIS for example, is doing this because they are overworked. As a massage therapist, I have picked up on the pattern that all the muscles that I'm releasing, all the muscles that are tight, are the same ones that we are using most often in our day-to-day lives. And in this case, we are all using our piriformis muscle way more than we're using the other muscles like the glutes. This is known as synergistic dominance, in which a team of muscles is supposed to help move a joint all together, but instead only one of them is doing majority of the work, resulting in it becoming overworked and overused, which is basically the same thing. Well, if that's the case, then my thought process is by firing up the glutes at the end of the sequence, then it can help the piriformis do some of that work and thereby not get so tight and constrict on that sciatic nerve. Now, some of you could sit there and say that,
well, if you just started with the exercises, then your pain would have been gone faster.
I don't believe that because I wasn't even able to walk 10 feet without having any pain. So how am I supposed to do these glute exercises? Both of them require some hip extension, which means I would have to go through that pain in order to finish off those reps. Nah, I'm good. I believe I got the results I did because I released the tight muscles first, loosened the nerve second, and then finally secured a better position for my body that's not constricting on the nerve with the exercises at the very end. And you can get similar results by doing the same thing. Let me know how it goes in the comment section below.